In the room, the president is being shown looking at the paintings, whereas the president, the Speaker of the House, is now helping to plant an olive tree. In fact, the images that the commentators have here are of the President of the Portuguese Republic planting the olive tree in the olive tree patio of the Ismaili Centre. This is a symbolic moment. The images currently show the President of the Republic and the Speaker of the House. The Ismaili Centre has two-thirds of the area of the Ismaili Centre is gardens. It is 18,000 square meters in total, two-thirds of that being covered by garden. The planting of the olive tree has now been completed, and the President is going to pass back into one of the side rooms to visit the exhibition. Mr. Ismaili, who is the Vice President of the Ismaili community, he greets the President of Portugal. And other representatives of this institution. He is currently looking at a photograph of members of the scout troop, because the Ismaili Centre in fact has a scout troop here in Portugal. Over the last 20 years, there are many photographs of leaders who have visited the Ismaili Centre, along with other dignitaries. And the photographs reflect some of that history. The exhibition room, where they are at the moment, hosts a number of different exhibitions during the course of the year. A number of well-known artists exhibit their works there. Occasionally it is also used for conferences. Some of the photographs that are being viewed at the moment show the beginning of construction of the Ismaili Centre here in Lisbon. There are also photographs here of the opening of the centre. The President of the Republic at that time, Jorge Sampaio, opened the centre with His Highness the Aga Khan. And some of these images portray that particular event. Some of the images visible at the moment, at least to the commentators, show the Aga Khan meeting with a number of dignitaries during the opening ceremony. And the image that we can see at the moment is the President of the Republic with the current Prime Minister of Portugal, António Costa. They are both with the current representative of the Ismaili Imamat, Nazim Ahmed. There is also an audio-visual presentation in the exhibition room. In fact, it is a stop-motion images of the construction of the Ismaili Centre from start to finish, after which they now move on to see the paintings and drawings which have been produced by children here in Lisbon. These have been carried out by children from the community, and this more or less brings the President and the Speaker and the Mayor of Lisbon to the end of the exhibition.
Sua Excelência, o Presidente da
Excellency,
República,
the President of the Portuguese Republic,
Sua Excelência,
Your
o
Excellency,
Presidente da Assembleia da
the
República,
Speaker of the Portuguese Parliament,
Excelentíssimo Representante
Represent-
Diplomático do Imamat Ismaili,
diplomatic representative of the
Excelentíssimo
Ismaili
Presidente da
Imamate,
Comunidade Muçulmana Ismaili,
representative of the
altos
Ismaili
dignitários,
Muslim community,
distintos
high
convidados e
dignitaries,
membros da Comunidade Muçulmana
guests,
Ismaili,
and members of the
senhoras e
Ismaili
senhores.
community in Portugal. Ladies and gentlemen,
Bem-vindos ao Centro
welcome
Ismaili
to the
para a
Ismaili
comemoração
Centre
do seu
to
20º
commemorate the
aniversário.
20th anniversary.
Como tivemos a oportunidade de
As we've
assistir,
had an
Sua
opportunity to
Excelência, o
see,
Presidente da República iniciou o programa de celebrações com a plantação
the
de uma oliveira.
President began the commemoration by
A oliveira
planting
tem
an olive tree.
simbolismos
An olive
muito
tree
particulares
has
nas três
very
religiões de
special
origem abrâmica.
place
E
in
tem sido utilizada já desde
Abrahamic
tempos muito
religions.
antigos
They have
como
very
representação de força
ancient
e de paz.
roots representing strength and
E
peace.
estamos particularmente
And we are
honrados
particularly
por ter uma
honored
nova
to
oliveira
have
na
a
rede
new
do Centro
olive
Ismaili.
tree at the Ismaili Centre.
Vamos iniciar esta
We will
cerimónia
begin the
com
ceremony
a recitação do
with
Sagrado Alcorão,
the recitation
excerto
of
do
the
Surah
Quran,
Al-Hujurat,
the
que significa
Surah
os aposentos,
Al-Hujurat,
e respectiva tradução em português.
which will be translated in the room in Portuguese and on the web in English. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. O humankind, indeed we created you, male and female, and we made you diverse peoples and tribes, so that you may come to know one another. Indeed, the noblest among you, in the sight of Allah, is the most pious. Indeed, Allah is all-knowing and all-aware.
Em nome de Deus, o beneficente, o misericordioso.
The
Ó
current
humanidade,
speaker is providing a
Na
Portuguese
verdade,
translation.
nós vos criamos homem e mulher, e vos fizemos povos e tribos, para que pudesseis conhecer-vos uns aos outros. Na verdade, o mais nobre de vós, aos olhos de Alá, é o mais piedoso. Na verdade, Alá é omnisciente e de tudo conhecedor.
Vamos então prosseguir com o
So
programa.
we will now move
Pedi ao
on
representante
and
diplomático do
we will
Imamate
have
Ismaili,
the
o comendador Nazim Ahmad,
diplomatic
para dirigir
representative of
algumas
the
breves
Ismaili
palavras
Imamat,
que serão seguidas de
Knight
pequeno
Commander
vídeo de
Nazim
4
Ahmed,
minutos sobre o impacto
to
das atividades da Rede Aga Khan para o
greet our
desenvolvimento em
guests,
todo o
and then there will be a short video on the Aga Khan Development Network and the Ismaili centres throughout the world.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sua Excelência, Sr. Presidente da República,
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, Your Excellency, Speaker of the Portuguese Parliament, Eduardo Ferro Rodrigues, former
Sr. Ministro
President,
da Cultura,
Jorge Sampaio, Minister
Sr.
of
Presidente da Câmara
Culture,
Municipal de Lisboa, Dr. Fernando Medina, Sr. Secretário de Estado, membros do
Mayor
Parlamento
of the City of Lisbon, Fernando Medina, Secretaries of State, Members of Parliament, and the Diplomatic Corps, President of the Ismaili Muslim Community, Rahim Fuzali, friends, ladies and gentlemen.
e muito obrigado
Welcome and thank you very
pela
much
honra da amizade
for
e a presença
the
de vossas
honour
excelências.
and friendship
Permitam-me,
of your
Sr. Presidente
presence
da
today.
República, umas breves
President,
palavras
please allow me
em
to
nome da Sua Alteza,
say a
o
few
Aga Khan,
words on behalf of His Highness the Aga Khan,
dizer
to
quanto
say
o
that
Imam Ismaili se sente honrado
how the Ismaili Imamat is honoured to have you here in this house today, where you have generously accepted to give us the honour of joining us in this celebration of the 20th anniversary of the Lisbon Ismaili Centre. And I also warmly welcome the Speaker of the Portuguese Parliament, Mr. Ferro Rodrigues, former President of Portugal, Jorge Sampaio, the Mayor of Lisbon, Fernando Medina, as well as members of Parliament and Government present here, members of the Diplomatic Corps, dignitaries, and all of our guests. Thank you very much for choosing to be with us on this very special day for the Ismaili community. This is a very important moment for the Imamat and for the Ismaili community. Not only because we have your presence here, Your Excellency, and so many of our friends here today, but also because the centre is the most During the foundation stone ceremony for this centre, His Highness the Aga Khan clearly outlined the purpose it should serve, and I quote, dedicated towards preservation of spiritual values, the promotion of social development, and the enhancement of intellectual discovery, the Ismaili Centre will seek to contribute to the enjoyment by citizens of Lisbon and visitors alike of its spaces and buildings which aim to inspire as well as to expand our cultural horizons. That is the end of the quote. This was the mission that we were given then, and we have all sought to fulfill that in the best we know how. The Ismaili Centre is a meeting point, a place of meditation and spiritual gathering of the Ismaili community, but it is not an enclosed space. It is open to everybody who seeks us out, and many have done so over the years. It's a house where we gladly host all who wish to know of us, our institutions, our beliefs, but also to hear what they have to say to us in gatherings, conferences, and events organized by us or by others, whether they are public or private bodies. Therefore, above all, it is a place of dialogue, a meeting point in the pursuit of a common path in light of principles of tolerance, inclusion, concern for others, and social justice. Although much of contemporary societies define themselves as upholders of pluralism, there are still many problems in the implementation of this, which has a tendency to be more theoretical. Most social behaviors are also guided by what is a natural ethic to the human being, to seek what is familiar and to stay away from what is different. It's because we are convinced that pluralism is not something innate in any of us that we have made such an effort to promote pluralism, especially in the field of early childhood education. To live together in harmony and peace is an essential condition for peace and sustainable human progress. The Ismaili Imamat, through the Aga Khan Network for Development, has been working for 6 decades since establishment by His Highness the Aga Khan to create opportunities for the more vulnerable communities to improve their quality of life. In all of our programs, whether it may be in the area of health, economic development, culture, or other fields, the same principles that we consider essential in sustainable societies are embedded and transmitted. Without the development of true pluralism in all strata of society as a vital asset for the greater well-being of human beings, I fear that we will continue to experience tensions and conflicts in our increasingly diverse societies. But we must be aware that this is not an easy task, and we must devote all of our efforts to this end. One of the building blocks of the AKDN's philosophy, the Aga Khan Development Network's philosophy and strategy, is to help to build and improve the institutions of civil society as a means to root pluralism solidly. In this regard, it has relied on important partners such as the government of Portugal and other states such as Canada that share its values and concerns. The various agreements that the Ismaili Imamat has with the Portuguese Republic are a good example of this partnership. The President, we have the privilege of living in a society that has reached such a level of development and technological progress that the realization of any material dream, however ambitious, simply seems to be a question of time. I understand, President, that, like us, you also realize that the reality surrounding us in the social and human development spheres do not correspond, sadly, to the development levels reached in other domains. And that you can side with us in the conviction that we must pay more attention to the human development side and to what is happening to the most fragile sectors of our society, not only by protecting them from exclusion, but by giving them the means to integrate and to progress, and providing access to education, health, and to vocational training. As I've already mentioned, the Ismaili Imamat has, through the AKDN, been committed towards these objectives, which in Portugal are largely focused on innovation in childhood education, strengthening of communities, and particular attention being paid to the senior community and economic and social inclusion of underprivileged and immigrant communities. Now, in these efforts, developed in cooperation with the state agencies, the Catholic Church, and private institutions, we have achieved good results which encourage us to continue. The Ismaili Centre is also a solid but harmonious witness to the way in which Ismailis have integrated into Portuguese society, of which they are part and fully fledged citizens, and proudly so. As His Highness the Aga Khan has more than once mentioned in this same house, the Ismailis are first and foremost Portuguese and must eagerly participate, together with their fellow countrymen, in the economic and social development of the country. Your Excellency's presence here on this date also represents to us the living recognition that we are living in the presence, we are a living presence in Portuguese society, and we are proud of that. So, on this occasion, with your permission, President, I would like to address a special word to former President Jorge Sampaio, who was President of the Republic, who, in the presence of His Highness the Aga Khan, proceeded to set the foundation stone and the inauguration of this building, and to whom we are very grateful for his friendship, care and support, which he has always given us over the years. We should also like to express our appreciation to João Soares and his team, whose first act as Mayor of Lisbon was to award the license for the construction of the centre, which he visited regularly and with utmost interest. Thank you. And I also have to make a very special mention with gratitude to the memory of Nuno Abcacis, who, as Mayor of Lisbon, transferred this land for us and secured it for 3 years, understanding the importance of a full integration of the community into the city of Lisbon. It's with great pleasure as well that I note here that we are perpetuating a family tradition that began virtually half a century ago on the 30th of November 1968 in Lourenço Marques, where your father, President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, inaugurated the extension works of our centre in that Mozambican capital, as it was at the time. I recall his memory with respect and the concern with which he always showed towards the welfare of the Ismaili community. I recalled in a lighter tone, President, and with longing for the times of my youth and the youth of my wife, the trips to the Ponte Vermelha Palace at this time of the year to be present at the Ruscha, the festive dance and celebration of the Ismaili communities. And if my memory doesn't fail me, that was when we actually crossed paths for the first time. Your Excellency's personal connection with the Ismaili Centre is long-standing and was reinforced not only by the way you welcomed His Highness during his official visit here last July, coinciding with the closing celebrations of His Highness's Diamond Jubilee, and engaging personally so that this visit would have the greatest projection, but also with the presence of Your Excellency at the Durbar, a religious ceremony of the utmost significance conveyed from Lisbon to the entire Ismaili world. This gesture, that presence, assured that you remained in the heart of 15 million Ismailis who today have in their homes a photograph in which Your Excellency stands next to His Highness the Aga Khan. Alas, at the Ismaili Imamat delegation, we would be, in fact, very delighted to welcome you to other centres throughout the world. Thank you very much for another gesture of friendship, for being here. Thank you very much for having planted the olive tree in the garden to signal this date alongside two trees that were planted 20 years ago by the President, that time, Jorge Sampaio, and His Highness to mark this date. The olive tree, a symbol of peace, of harmony that we all aspire towards and which we will care for as a living memory of Your Excellency's connection to the Ismaili community and of our respect for Your Excellency, in recognition of your esteemed qualities and the representation of the highest figure of state. Thank you very much.
Muito obrigado, Comendador Nazim Ahmad. Gostaria então de
Thank you very
convidar
much.
agora Sua Excelência, o
I should
Presidente da
like to call
República,
to the
a
floor
partilhar algumas palavras com a
His
audiência.
Excellency, the President of the Portuguese Republic, to share a few words with us.
Senhor Presidente da Assembleia da República,
Speaker of the Portuguese
Senhor
Parliament,
Presidente
President
Jorge Sampaio,
Jorge Sampaio, former President of the Portuguese Republic,
Senhor Representante
Representative
Diplomático do Imamat Ismaili
of
na
the
República Portuguesa,
Ismaili Imamat in the Portuguese
Senhor
Republic,
Presidente do Conselho Nacional da Comunidade Ismaili em Portugal,
the President of the Ismaili
Senhores Ministros,
communities
Senhor
in
Presidente
Portugal,
Municipal de
Ministers,
Lisboa,
Mayor of Lisbon,
Senhores membros do Governo,
members of
senhores
the government,
deputados, senhores
members of Parliament,
embaixadores e representantes
ambassadors,
diplomáticos,
and diplomatic representatives,
Excelências,
Excellencies,
Senhor Presidente da Comissão de Liberdade Religiosa, Senhores representantes
President
diferentes
of
de
the
confissões religiosas,
Committee for Religious Freedom, representatives of the various
membros da
religious
comunidade ismaíli em
communities,
Portugal.
distinguished members of the Ismaili community in Portugal.
É difícil não
It
deixar
is
falar
hard
o coração
not to speak from the
num
heart
momento como este,
in
partilhamos.
such an occasion which we are sharing.
pelo símbolo que representa este
The symbol
centro
that
ismaíli.
this centre represents, the Ismaili
Este
Centre.
centro
This centre
Representa, já
represents,
aqui foi evocado,
as has already been said,
o empenho de muitos,
the dedication of many people,
e Vossa Excelência destacou, e muito bem, Sr. Presidente Jorge
which
Sampaio.
you've already mentioned the support of the former President Jorge Sampaio was important. He supported this enthusiastically.
Este ponto de encontro
This
de
meeting point
culturas,
of
de
cultures,
religiões,
religions,
de visões do mundo.
and views of the
Mas
world.
muitos outros que estão
But
ligados a
many
este
other
centro,
linked
direto
to
ou
this
indiretamente,
centre, directly or
João
indirectly,
Soares,
João
Presidente da
Soares,
Câmara Municipal de Lisboa.
as
Mas todos
Mayor of
quantos
Lisbon
iam
at that
olhando à
time,
volta, encontro múltiplos no exercício de funções políticas,
and so many other people
governativas,
who were
diplomáticas,
exercising political functions, diplomatic
celebraram
functions,
com o Imamat Ismaili,
celebrated their
abrindo
links with the
caminho
Ismaili Centre, and they
processo
opened the way to a
que sendo
process
longo,
which
foi
was
seguro
long but
de
was
aproximação
sure,
a Portugal.
creating an
Tão
approximation
seguro e
with
tão
Portugal.
importante
It was
que
so
traduziu
sure
na
and
decisão de escolher Portugal, decisão de Sua
important
Alteza,
that
o
His
Príncipe
Highness Prince Aga Khan
como uma
chose
das sedes
Portugal as one of the
Imamat
headquarters of the Ismaili Imamat.
sede importante,
It's
a
an
par de
important
outras,
centre, along
na
with
sua
others,
projeção no mundo.
in that community's
E não
projection
podemos
in the
deixar
world.
de louvar e de
And
agradecer
we have to
essa
praise
presença
and
universal.
be grateful for that
Uma
universal
presença de
presence.
construção de
It
paz,
is a presence
de
of
desenvolvimento
basic
económico,
construction
social
of
e
social
cultural,
and economic and
de
cultural
entendimento e de
development, of
concórdia
understanding and of
por todos os continentes.
agreement throughout continents.
Mas não podemos esquecer de forma muito especial a
But
presença no nosso
we
país.
have to always recall the
Vindos
very special presence of the
de
Imamat
longe,
in our
De
country,
Moçambique ou outros,
from so many
processo
different
de
communities from
colonização que se
Mozambique
fixaram
and others.
há
But
décadas,
decades ago,
trazendo
the
consigo
community settled here
uma
and
vida
brought with
cheia
it
de
a
valores,
life full of values,
cheia
full
de pujança,
of
cheia
commitment,
de vontade
energy,
de contribuir para a
and
construção
will to
de
help
Portugal.
to build Portugal.
E essa comunidade
And
ismaili
this
portuguesa
Ismaili
que eu queria
Portuguese
especialmente
community,
hoje saudar.
which I would like to
Pelo modo
highlight and
como
greet
soube
here today,
integrar-se no
integrated
nosso país comum,
into our joint
como
country,
soube
our shared country.
afirmar sempre
It
os valores
always
da dignidade
understood
da
the
pessoa,
values of personal
direitos
dignity,
humanos,
human
do
rights,
pluralismo,
pluralism,
da diferença, da tolerância,
difference,
da
tolerance,
compreensão,
understanding,
da diversidade
diversity
no nosso país.
in our country.
Devemos a todos vós esse exemplo.
To all of you,
E o
we
centro
owe
não é
that
mais do que
example.
símbolo
And the centre
material e ao
is
mesmo tempo
merely
imaterial
a material, but
desse
at the same time
processo
immaterial
enriquecedor na
symbol
sociedade
of
portuguesa.
your
Mas
enriching
traduz
presence in
também
Portugal. But
em obras sociais comunitárias
this takes the
constantes.
form of ongoing
Todo o
social actions throughout the
Olhar
country,
sobretudo para a juventude
looking particularly at young people
os idosos.
and the elderly.
E daqui exemplo
And
paradigmático
an example of
foi a
that
concessão de bolsas
was the granting
crianças
of scholarships and grants
das
to
vítimas
young
dos
people
fogos
who
do ano
were victims of the forest fires
Desde a
last
primeira
year.
hora,
Right from the
aí
outset,
esteve a rede, a Fundação
the
HK,
Aga Khan Development
demonstrar
Network
a
and
sua
Foundation
partilha
was there,
comunitária.
sharing
Uma
with the
forma de
community,
viver os valores que, sendo
and
constitucionais,
it showed a
cívicos,
way of living, a
são valores
civic attitude.
espirituais
These are spiritual
essenciais para a
values
nossa
which are
comunidade.
essential for our community.
sentimos-nos bem
We
neste centro.
feel good in
Sentimos-nos
this center.
em casa.
We feel at home.
Sentimos-nos
We
em casa
feel
porque partilhamos
At
os
home
mesmos
because
valores.
we share the same values.
E neste tempo
And
em que por todo o mundo
in these days,
sopram
when throughout the
valores
world
opostos,
we see the
é
opposite
tão
views,
importante
it
a
is
mensagem
so important
que hoje
to
queremos
hear the
partilhar.
message that we want to share here today.
a mensagem
The
da recusa do
message
ódio,
of
da recusa
rejecting
da
hate,
xenofobia,
rejecting
da recusa do
xenophobia,
chauvinismo,
rejecting
da
chauvinism,
recusa da intolerância,
rejecting
da
intolerance,
recusa da incompreensão,
rejecting
da
incomprehension,
recusa de tudo aquilo que é
rejecting
contrário
everything which
à afirmação
goes
comunitária
against the affirmation of community,
pujante, constante,
which is vital,
vivificadora
it is constant, it
do
is
universo
enlivening
ismaili
of
no
the
nosso país.
Ismaili community
E
in
esse é o
our country.
significado da minha presença aqui.
And that is why I am here today,
Quer dizer,
to be able to
como
say
todos os portugueses, independentemente
that
de opções
all Portuguese people, irrespective of their
consciência,
choices of
doutrinárias,
conscious of
ideológicas,
doctrine or
religiosas
ideologies,
ou outras,
religions, or anything
estão
else,
gratos à comunidade
they are
ismaelita.
grateful to
Como
the
certamente
Ismaili
a comunidade
community,
ismaelita
as certainly
sabe
the
em cada
Ismaili
momento da
community
sua vida
know
reconhecer em Portugal
they
nos sucessivos responsáveis políticos portugueses,
recognize
e sobretudo no povo
in
português,
Portugal, in
uma
their various
realidade
leaders, and in the
uma realidade compreensível
Portuguese community, that they are
abarca a
welcomed,
todos.
they are understood.
e que é como que simbolicamente também figurada
Symbolically,
nas duas árvores
uh,
plantadas,
this,
uma pelo presidente Jorge Sampaio há
liaison
20 anos,
is represented
e hoje,
by
por
the
mim,
two
apenas como servidor
olive trees
do
which were
Estado
planted 20 years ago
português e
by
representante
the
da
President
República
Jorge
Portuguesa.
Sampaio and by me
Querem
today.
as duas árvores
The
dizer que
Trees
20 anos depois
mean
continuamos
that
uns e
20
outros
years
fiéis
later,
aos nossos
both
valores.
of us are still true to our
Unidos
values.
na
We are
afirmação
united in
desses
affirming those
E
values.
olhando para o futuro.
And we're looking to the
E
future.
felizes por encontrar
And we are happy to have
na
found each
exposição
other
com os trabalhos
in the exhibition
crianças e
with
dos
the
jovens
work of children and
desta
young
comunidade,
people of this
o
community.
futuro que temos de
The
construir em
future
conjunto.
we have to build
Transmita,
together.
Vossa Excelência, a Sua Alteza o Príncipe HK,
Your Excellency, please
aquilo que eu
transmit to
diretamente à
His Highness the
comunidade
Aga Khan
Ismaili aqui presente.
what the presence of the Ismaili
Presidente da República
means to us,
Portuguesa,
the pride
pelo seu
of the
testemunho,
Portuguese
o vosso testemunho
President
na construção de uma pátria comum. Muito
in
obrigado.
helping in helping us to create a Portuguese community. Thank you very much.
Muito obrigado, Sr. Presidente.
Thank you very much, President,
Amigas e inspiradoras palavras.
for your friendly and inspiring words. Thank you very much.
Iremos ter agora
So
uma performance
now
musical.
we will have a musical
Em primeiro lugar,
performance.
o coro
Firstly,
académico da
the
Autónoma cantará Vou Levar
academic
Comigo,
choir
do
of
Estudo Ouro
the
Negro,
Lisbon
e Natal Africano
Autonomous
José no arranjo do
University.
maestro José Balegas. Seguinte,
Then
teremos o coro
we will
Ismaili de
have
Portugal,
the Portuguese
que interpretará
Ismaili
o tema Bismillah, o introito
choir
composto pelo maestro Filipe Leal,
conducted by
Isacre,
Philippe
do
Leal,
compositor indiano Ala Raka Rahman,
singing
com arranjo
a
de Ethan Sperry.
a performance which has been written by an Indian
Intitulada Joy to the World, de George Frederick
composer.
Handel,
And finally,
celebrando assim a
Joy
festa
to the
festiva,
World,
bem
composed
como
by
representante
George Frederick
simbólica
Handel,
do pluralismo.
which will be sung to symbolize unity.
Thank
Obrigado aos cores pela excelente atuação, que é a atuação em conjunto.
Apparently, as the speaker has just discovered, there is now a joint performance by the two choirs.
Muito obrigado. E agora
Thank you very much.
Ainda bem que deixei pelo menos a última atuação, que também foi muito
And
boa.
that was a wonderful performance, and
Para assinalar este dia feliz,
to signal this wonderful day, we are going to offer two small souvenirs on behalf of the Ismaili Centre and the Ismaili community in Portugal. These are replicas of azulejo tiles from the Ismaili Centre, representing the pluralistic culture that we are celebrating today. So I will ask the representative of the Ismaili community, Knight Commander Nazim Ahmed, to offer the first of these tiles to the President of the Portuguese Republic. In fact, to the Speaker of the House. And to conclude, I should like to ask the representative of the Ismaili community to offer this souvenir to the President of the Portuguese Republic. So we now close the ceremony and we invite all guests to the multi-purpose room on the other side of the patio for a quick reception. You can also enjoy the exhibition celebrating 20 years of the Ismaili Centre, and this is going to be open from today until the 18th of January 2019. Thank you very much. The session is adjourned.